Good day, friends. It is the 26th today. And in the news, of course, we all know about the 60 billion, 61 billion packet that's gone through. Nothing for the border. Nothing for the peasants. Only for the rich. Well, a few peasants will get something because there'll be some people doing work. But everybody else will be, oh well, SOL. And probably a good chunk of that work is going to be done by illegals that are going to get hired instead of American citizens. Gotta love that system. But everything for the people. Well, the people get to die and pay taxes. Which, by the way, I never could quite understand that from the American government. Because the American government prints a hell of a lot more money than it spends. That it takes in. Many times more. Why even bother paying taxes at this point? And you know, I asked that from a professor back in the mid-90s. And the only answer I was given is that the people need to participate in the government. And by paying taxes, the people are participating in the government. Yeah, like all serfs participated in their government. They paid taxes, they died in their owners' wars. That's the maximum participation they got to do. Everything else just came down from up top and hit them upside the head. Like a wrecking ball. So, you got the list of the things going to Ukraine. First of all, let's not forget one of the things is equipment was going anyways. It wasn't always, most of it wasn't declared. Well, it was going anyways. All this time. There were orders, standing orders. And those orders were taken between half a year to to complete. So some amount was constantly streaming in. So it wasn't all this sudden, oh, now we're going to send. The U.S. military has been sending it constantly anyways. And we've been blowing it up constantly. Along with American soldiers and British soldiers on those Patriots and those HIMARS systems. There are no Ukrainians on there. And so on and so on. So, by the way, when Lindsey Graham says it's great where they'll provide we'll be able to fight to the last Ukrainian and there are no Americans being killed, yeah, okay. Old light in the loafers Lindsey is very much so full of it. The combat lawyer doesn't know crap. There's been plenty of Americans killed, and there'll be plenty of more Americans killed. That's just how that is. Sure, they're all mercenaries. Pretty soon it'll just be straight up line infantry. But, you know, whatever. So, but what's interesting is what wasn't on there. One of the things that wasn't on there was the Abrams. Yeah, the Abrams gets really bad PR when they burn. And the Abrams, first of all, the Abrams that the U.S. government is sending is the oldest Abrams, the M1s, steel armored. They're not sending anything special over there. That's why even a T-72 125 millimeter can kill it. It could kill it back in 1980 when the M1 came out. That's why in 1986 the M1A1 came out with the Chobane armor after America stole that from the British. But again, the British are the vassals, so they can't exactly holler too loudly. Or is it America that's the vassals, the British? Something to think about. Who's whore? Or are they both mutual whores for each other? Or does Israel just own them all? Gotta wonder. Gotta wonder. And who owns the peasants? Because, by the way, everyone listening here that's under those governments is a peasant, whether or not they realize it or not. So, moving forward, the M1s are easily killed. I mean, literally easily killed. Steel armor. The only difference between the original M1s and what was sent to Ukraine was an upgraded gun system. So the barrel and the block from the 105 was replaced with the 120. The 105 was a British manufactured gun from British artillery armaments, artillery, some of that. And the 120 is Rheinmetall. Yes, the U.S. doesn't manufacture its own barrels. They're all constantly being bought from one or the other. There's a lot of things the U.S. doesn't manufacture. By the way, want a little secret? U.S. can't get any of its equipment anywhere on its own assets because there is no merchant marine in the U.S. I saw that with my own eyes back in let's see, what was it, 2002. I was running a project, a mobilization project for an aviation unit out of Kentucky. They're loading. They're going to be loading up in Jacksonville, and then moving the ships over to Texas, unloading, and they're going up to Fort Polk for exercises prior to the second war in Iraq. So I go to Fort Jackson, the military port, and I'm walking around there with a major that's answering for that port. I'm a captain, and in front of me, they're loading M1s, Marine M1s, onto a freighter on the military port, and the freighter has a Russian flag on it. I'm like, what the hell? And the major tells me, oh, that's our little dirty secret. U.S. has no vessel carrying capacity except for the mobile battalions that are in the Marines. As he said, all the merchant marine ships are World War II, Korean War era, and they've all been sitting in dry dock waiting to be chopped up for scrap. U.S. has zero carrying capacity. It always uses foreign ships, foreign freighters. Yep, that's a great superpower right there. Minus the foreign ships, you just can't project anything anywhere except on planes. And the biggest transport planes can carry 2 Abrams. That's right, that's it, 2 Abrams. It's a heavy damn load in Abrams. You ain't gonna get any Abrams up into a C-130. You could get a Sheridan in there, but the Sheridans are gone. And there are no light tanks in the U.S. military. The airborne doesn't get any armor, they just get killed. When they get sent in, and they will sooner or later get sent in against Russian forces, they're gonna get dead real quick. So it ain't Afghanistan, it ain't Iraq. It's full-on conventional war against a peer with a hell of a lot more experience than the U.S. military has, and no HR nightmares like women in the infantry, transgenders, and all the other crap. Just a bunch of really pissed off guys. So that's how that is. Really lots of pissed off guys that believe in God against all the atheist, transgender feminazis. That's half the U.S. military these days. Guess who's gonna win? Food for thought. Just food for thought. So yeah, the Abrams aren't on there. So it's one of 2 things, in my opinion. Either A, the PR is pretty damn bad, or B, the U.S. is starting to refurbish those old Abrams for something bigger. You know, World War III. Probably not directly with American hands, because the Americans aren't going to get their hands dirty too much. They're going to let the Europeans do all the dying. And why not? You have a whore, let her whore. She needs to turn tricks, and Europe is just one big whorehouse. And they all get to turn tricks. Which means a lot of Europeans are going to get dead very soon. And since they don't want to do anything to stop it, it's basically suicide by Russia. So, okay, whatever. But I guess the U.S. is going to be the deep rear. And all those old M1s are going to get refurbished and sent over to the Eurotrash to die in, burn in. Because there aren't enough tanks. I mean, come on. You know, Rheinmetall got an order and going to start manufacturing Leopard 2s. They haven't been manufacturing Leopard 2s in like 10 years. And they've been refurbishing them, upgrading them, but they haven't built any new ones. And the new tanks in volume, I think it's going to take them half a year to build them. It's going to be 85 Leopards. 85 Leopards. So that's basically 2 companies. No, I'm sorry, that's not 2 companies. Companies, 14 tanks. So that's a battalion of tanks, basically. A little more. Is that 40? No, I'm sorry, 2 battalions of tanks. 44 tanks in a battalion. Ooh, my math is off today. really badly. So yeah, it's 2 battalions, it's a brigade minus. So if it's a combined arms brigade, armor heavy, so you'd have to put basically a battalion of mortars in there. And that's going to take half a year to stand up. New equipment. That's new equipment, that's not trained people. So, yeah. Okay. We're producing about, in Ural Vagon Zavod. Yeah, Ural wagon factory. Wagon because it used to made train wagons, or train cars. In Russian, it's wagons. And then they started producing tanks and other equipment. So just that factory alone, and it's a huge factory. I was there once or twice. They were producing some oil and gas stuff for us. It's a just gigantic facility. And they're refurbishing old T-72s into modern T-90s. And they're building T-90s from scrap. And you're talking about 10, 15 tanks coming out. And again, they're not doing this at an insane level. And they can expand production. So if a big war comes, they will expand production. But as it is right now, producing something like 30 to 40 tanks a month. And then refurbishing tanks also. So there you go for that. And again, that's just one. And there are several factories working. And, you know, right now, the excuse that's going around in the West is, well, we just don't understand how Russia can manufacture. They're 2%, they're 2% of the world GDP, and yet we don't know how they can manufacture this. We couldn't count on how they could do this. Well, I'll tell you why. First of all, we're not 2% of the world GDP. We're a hell of a lot higher. What the practice in the U.S. and Europe have been is downgrading the value of Russian manufacturing and assets. So, you know, say you've got a factory that's worth, in real terms, if it was in the West anyways, 10 billion in production, and we'll call it 2 billion in production. And that way, if we want to invest in it, it downgrades the cost of it. We know how much it's making. We're just not admitting how much it's making. And this was done Russian economy wide. It's been done for 30 years. So the statistics are way, way off. Russia is not 2.5% of world GDP. Russia's real value in manufacturing is many times higher. And this is the reality. You know, you can bullshit all you want, but when the rubber meets the road, and it's met the road, reality is going to kick you in the balls as hard as it can. And that's exactly what it's doing right now to the West, is it's kicking the West in the balls over and over. The only good thing for the West is those balls are so atrophied, they're barely feeling the pain. They're just collapsing their economies, having a lot of dead people that they don't want to admit to, and so on. But then again, those are mostly dead peasants, so nobody really cares. I mean, let's be honest about that. But that's how the Russian economy is. It's a hell of a lot larger, many times larger than what was recorded. So in the industrial base, I mean, I've been a witness to how much the industrial base has been refurbished just over the last 15 years. Because a lot of factories that I worked with, a lot of new factories, a lot of old factories that were run down, that got a lot of investment from the government and got a lot of investment from the private sector, put back up on their feet, new equipment, refurbished everything. Even the buildings look brand new, even though they're 80 years old. So, you know, every time the West, oh, Russia doesn't make anything. Yeah, okay. It makes good BS for the peasants. Until, again, you get so stupid, you believe your own BS, you start a war, and you suddenly find out you're screwed, buddy. So, yeah, there's that. Don't know how else to put it. So, anyways, that's the reality of it. That's the clown world we live in. Western-sponsored, manufactured clown world. So, have fun. Hope everything's good. Talk later. God bless.